Everything that is happening in the Arctic indicates that this region will become the site of future confrontations between great superpowers. Even optimistic analysts admit that after Ukraine, the Arctic will become the main place of confrontation between the West and the East. They are confident that events will develop in this region that can provoke the beginning of a global war and the destruction of all mankind. The fact that the United States is very annoyed that Russia is rapidly increasing its presence in the Arctic is no secret to anyone. The fact is that many in Washington are concerned about the fact that Russia has already begun to use the Arctic as one of the powerful levers in the confrontation with the West. In particular, in Washington, they are confident that Russia's actions in the Arctic have become one of the reasons for the weakening of the American currency and the strengthening of the multipolar world. For example, after Yemen's Houthis blocked Red Sea shipping lane for all Western vessels, almost all world transport companies turned to Russia for permission to use the Northern Sea route. Moreover, the presence in Russia of a powerful icebreaking fleet allows Moscow to use the Northern Sea route even in winter. In addition, the Northern Sea route has also substantially reduced transit time, which is very beneficial for transport companies and Asian manufacturers. The United States is very concerned about the fact that due to instability in the Middle East, and in particular in the Suez Canal, as well as due to the activity of pirates in the Horn of Africa and traffic problems in the Strait of Malacca, the Northern Sea route has become almost the most important lever that effectively serves both Moscow's geopolitical and economic goals. In addition, the United States is also saddened by the fact that only Russia can take all Arctic natural resources, including numerous oil and gas deposits. My dear truth seekers, let me remind you that at the moment, Russia ranks first in the world in diamond, nickel, and copper mining, among the countries of the Arctic belt. Against this backdrop, in the summer of 2024, the US Department of Defense released its new Arctic strategy. A document published by the Pentagon states that Washington considers the Arctic as a region of strategic confrontation. According to the new Arctic strategy, the United States, along with NATO countries, intends to conduct regular military exercises in Arctic region. According to the Pentagon, this will demonstrate to Russia the combat capability of the United States and its allies in the Arctic region. In the last 5 months alone, the United States and NATO countries have already conducted 3 major military exercises in the Arctic region. Thus, the West has made clear that a new confrontation for the right to own the Arctic had begun. Moscow's response to the actions of the West was not long in coming. In particular, Russian President Vladimir Putin said that the development of the Arctic region is a priority for Russia. According to him, the Arctic will strengthen Russia's energy potential, ensure national security, and expand logistical capabilities. The Arctic is of strategic importance to Russia, and Moscow will defend this region with all available means. However, most of all, the West was shocked by the fact that Vladimir Putin signed a new maritime doctrine, which made it clear to the United States and NATO countries that Russia does not intend to give the Arctic to anyone, and is ready to fight for this region of the world to the bitter end. According to the new Russia's maritime doctrine, one of the priorities of the national maritime policy in the Arctic will be the control of the naval activities of foreign states in the waters of the Northern Sea route. This implies strengthening the defense of Russia's northern borders and intensifying maritime activities in the archipelago of Spitsbergen, Franz Josef Land, Novaya Zemlya, and Wrangel Island. My dear truth seekers, in this video, I will explain to you what it all means. Although Russia is accustomed to considering the Arctic as its sovereign territory, that hasn't always been the case. During the Civil War and the formation of the young Soviet state, Taking advantage of the weakness of the USSR, the British, Americans, and Canadians tried to take away the most significant parts of the Arctic from the Russians. So, exactly 100 years ago, the Anglo-Saxons raised their flags on Wrangel Island, founded a colony there, and started illegal fishing. Only by 1924, a Soviet expedition was sent to Wrangel Island, which arrested the Anglo-Saxons, pulled down their flags, and raised the flag of the USSR, which made it clear to the whole world that these lands belonged to the Russians. The Americans, British, and Canadians, grinding their teeth, were forced to admit defeat and had to retreat. It may seem symbolic, but a few days ago, Russian servicemen established the state and Andreevsky flags on the highest mountain of Wrangel Island. No one can dispute Russian sovereignty over these islands in the Arctic, but in order for this situation to continue in the future, Moscow needs to regularly demonstrate in the Arctic not only a flag, but also strength. And this is exactly what was recorded in the new Russia's maritime doctrine. In the new maritime doctrine, without any antics, the following provision is fixed. The main threat to Russia's security is the activities of the United States and NATO. And the Northern Sea Route is a vital national transport communication. Spitsbergen Island, Franz Josef Land, Novaya Zemlya, and Wrangel Island have long been places of deployment of the Russian military, year-round military bases, airports, air defense, and missile defense systems. The new maritime doctrine opens the way for Russia to intensify maritime activities on these Arctic islands. Consequently, the capabilities of Russians in the Arctic will be significantly expanded. Meanwhile, the capabilities of Russia's rivals are already cut to the limit in the Arctic. A few months ago, in one of my videos, I already told you that the Russian Ministry of Defense is introducing a de facto prohibitive regime for foreign warships in the Arctic, thereby eliminating one of the gaps in Russian legislation. At the same time, the Russian government forms the main department of the Northern Sea Route. In fact, the Russian authorities revived the same department that functioned under Stalin, which had the same name and a wide range of powers. Now, the new main department will be headed by one of the most capable state structures, the corporation Rosatom. The area of its responsibility includes the development of infrastructure, shipping, scientific expeditions, and much more. Together with the tasks enshrined in the new maritime doctrine for the development of not only military but also civilian shipbuilding, all this inspires confidence that even the hypothetical possibility of hoisting American flags on the Arctic islands of Russia has been eliminated for at least the next 100 years. Thus, it is safe to say that this far-sighted action by Vladimir Putin has secured this strategically important region of the world for many decades to come. Moreover, now the whole world has finally understood why all this time Russia has refused to build aircraft carriers, rapidly developing its ice-breaking fleet. Russia is the world's only country that has a nuclear icebreaker fleet. And this nuclear icebreaker fleet has already allowed Russia to demonstrate its dominance in the Arctic region. Now, in the 21st century, Americans have finally realized what a strategic mistake they have made. At the moment, the United States feels terrible about building unnecessary aircraft carriers all these decades, instead of nuclear icebreakers.